In this video, we're going to look at costs of employment tribunals. My name's Alex Monaco, solicitor and owner of Monaco Solicitors. So the topics we're going to cover within costs is the costs of starting an employment tribunal, the costs of hiring lawyers for employment tribunals, and the costs if you were to lose an employment tribunal. So the cost of starting an employment tribunal, luckily, employment tribunals are now free to start. There was a time when you had to pay a fee to issue an employment tribunal, but one of the best things about employment tribunals for employees is that you don't have to pay a penny to issue an employment tribunal. You can just go online, and I say just go online, it's actually quite difficult to write all the necessary information, but you can just go and do that and issue the claim but with a click of a mouse, and you won't have to pay anything. So what are the costs of hiring lawyers to represent you at employment tribunals? Well, generally it is expensive hiring lawyers to represent you at employment tribunals. What you'll find is that solicitors are hundreds of pounds an hour by and large, and barristers are difficult to work with because they need solicitors to prepare all the paperwork for them. What you might find is that there's a couple of options that might give you the best of both worlds. One is that you might use lawyers for certain parts of your employment tribunal. The best part to use your lawyer for, if you only have a certain budget and you want to pay for a lawyer, is the very start, which is filling in the ET1, Employment Tribunal Claim Form. That form needs to be just right, especially regarding things like time limits, because if you forget to include something, or if you don't include something in a specific way, then your 3-month time limit can run out by the time you realize that. A judge might point out, well, you didn't put this in, so we can't look at that. And that will be later, that will be after 3 months is gone, so you won't be able to go back and put that in. So for that main reason, it's really good to have an employment lawyer specialist go in and do your ET1 claim form. If you do go ahead and get lawyers to do the preliminary hearing as well, that can be cost effective. Where it gets really expensive is doing the final hearing. That can be hugely expensive. However, if you do the initial stages well, by and large, you'll find that your employer will settle with you out of court, by and large, because they face the same problems too with costs of lawyers. In other words, they're still going to have to pay lawyers lots of money to go and fight the case. So if you present it well right from the start, they're more likely, instead of spending all that money on lawyers when they could then go ahead and still lose the case and still have to pay you, they're more likely to pay you that money that they would have spent on lawyers. So it can actually be an investment if you think about it. Yes, I'm going to spend X amount on lawyers, but I should be able to get all of that back and more from my employer, especially when they realize I'm doing this properly. Whereas if you try and do it all yourself, then the problem you have is that your employers might not laugh at you, but they might not take you as seriously as they would if you had lawyers, because they're not as concerned that they're going to lose the tribunal, because no doubt, being a company or a corporation, they probably got their own lawyers and HR people and so on. So it's a little bit David and Goliath. So if you come lawyered up, they're much more likely to take you that bit more seriously. Here at Monaco Solicitors, we do offer hybrid solutions. So we do offer reduced rates for employment tribunal work, where we would also take on a negotiation for you out of court separately, often on a no-win, no-fee basis. So we can negotiate for you on a no-win, no-fee basis out of court, and then in court, we keep that claim ticking over on a reduced fee basis. So contact us for more on that. Finally here, what is the cost of losing an employment tribunal? So if you go ahead and go to tribunal and lose the case, which is frankly very common with claimants, because it is hard for claimants to win, because claimants have to prove the case, and respondents or employers simply just can sit there and just deny everything. So there's a big onus on you to go ahead and prove the case. Often claimants do lose. I think majority of claims do lose, especially unrepresented. Is there a penalty that you have to pay? Do you have to pay the other side's legal fees, for example? Well, luckily no. the loser doesn't pay the legal fees of the other side in employment tribunals. This is unlike county court cases where the loser would have to pay the legal costs of the other side. As with most rules in law, there is an exception, and that is if you are found to have behaved particularly unreasonably. Normally this means lying to the court. So if you have lied to the employment tribunal judge during the case, then the judge may decide that you should pay some of the legal costs of the other side. So it goes without saying, but obviously make sure you don't fall foul of that exception. But in the lion's share, the vast majority of cases, there is no cost penalty if you lose. So therefore, it is worth issuing an employment tribunal claim every time that you have an employment law problem or claim and your employer won't negotiate. Because often employers will just string you along and effectively kicking the can down the road in the belief that you're never going to issue an employment tribunal claim. So they will never come to the negotiating table, never make you a fair offer for what they've put you through until you issued the claim, or perhaps gone through the preliminary hearing at least. And there's another video on that you can watch on our YouTube channel, on our website as well. And the people who do issue the claim, who have the willpower to go through that stage, they're the ones who tend to get the kind of pot of gold at the end of the rainbow in terms of a negotiated settlement. So best of luck with your employment tribunal claim, and if you have any questions, put them in the comments in the YouTube video or get in touch. Thanks very much.